All right, listen up. This is a Code Ninja security advisory for CVE 2025-2749. This is critical, and it requires your immediate attention.
Let's get right to it. We're dealing with a high-severity authenticated remote code execution vulnerability in the Kentico Xperience CMS. And let me be perfectly clear, this is not a theoretical threat. This is live. It's being actively exploited in the wild right now.
Here's your timeline. The initial disclosure was way back in March 2025. As of April 2026, we have hard confirmation of active exploitation. The remediation deadline is May 4th, 2026. Your window to act is closing, and it's closing fast.
Our objective here is simple. We're providing the intelligence you need for immediate remediation. This disclosure is designed to force a fix from the vendor and help you secure your systems.
Okay. Here's how we're going to break this down. First, the core advisory. Then, a technical analysis of the exploit itself. We'll cover the blast radius, the mandatory patch, and finally, the disclosure timeline and why we're doing this.
Now, before we get into the technical details, we need to run a quick protocol check for information continuity.
To get urgent updates on this threat and others, you need to be subscribed. Make sure that link is established.
A simple like confirms you've received this advisory. Consider it your digital acknowledgement.
And finally, report your status in the comments, patched or vulnerable. This helps the entire community assess the overall risk. Okay, protocol complete. Let's proceed.
Right, on to the technical deep dive. Let's get under the hood and see exactly how this exploit works.
So, the core mechanism of CVE 2025-2749 lets an attacker, once they have credentials to the Staging Sync Server, upload and execute pretty much any file they want. This leads directly to a complete system compromise.
Here's the full attack chain. It's a dangerously straightforward four-step process. It starts with authenticated access. Then, they exploit a path traversal to get outside the intended directory. After that, the attacker uploads their malicious file, and boom, they achieve remote code execution. It's a direct path to a full system takeover.
The real power of this exploit comes from chaining two different weaknesses. You've got CWE22, path traversal, which lets the attacker choose the location for their file. Then you've got CWE434, unrestricted file upload, which lets them choose their weapon, like a web shell. That combination is absolutely devastating.
So now that we understand the attack vector, let's talk impact. What's the actual blast radius of a successful exploit?
The CVSS 3.1 base score is a 7.2. That is a high severity rating. And to put that in perspective, a score in this range means a successful exploit can lead to significant data loss, major system downtime, and a complete loss of integrity. Do not underestimate this threat.
Here's the score breakdown. The attack vector is network, and the complexity is low. The only mitigating factor here is the need for high privileges. But once an attacker has those credentials, no user interaction is needed, and the impact on confidentiality, integrity, and availability is high.
And if you still have any doubts, this vulnerability is officially listed in CISA's Known Exploited Vulnerabilities catalog. This is not a proof of concept. I repeat, this is being actively used by threat actors in the wild to compromise systems.
Okay, now for the most critical part of this briefing, mandatory remediation. This is your action plan. These are the CISA-mandated action items. Number 1, apply vendor patches immediately, now. 2, if you're using cloud services, you must follow the binding operational directive 22-01 guidance. And 3, if you absolutely cannot patch, you must discontinue use of the product. Take it offline.
And finally, let's just quickly review the timeline. This will help you understand the evolution of this threat and justify why we're doing this public disclosure.
So here's the threat lifecycle. We went from the initial publication in March 2025 to verified public exploits by October. By April of 2026, CISA confirmed active exploitation, which is what triggered that May 4th deadline. This shows a very rapid escalation from a known flaw to a fully weaponized threat.
Which brings us to a fundamental question in our field. Why on earth would we disclose this publicly?
The answer is coordinated vulnerability disclosure. It's the code we live by. We disclose vulnerabilities so that you, the users, can protect your systems. Once an exploit is in the wild, secrecy only helps the attackers.
That concludes this advisory. Stay secure.